day where we get to recognize and honor the nation's fallen heroes who have, paid the ultimate price while defending the unity and sovereignty of Nigeria. A big day for the country's armed forces as the nation reflects on their sacrifices. They continue to put their lives on the line to protect the territorial integrity of the nation. Well, traditionally, the Armed Forces Remembrance Day honors veterans of the World War I and the Second World War, of course, as well as those who fought in the Nigerian Civil War and other peacekeeping operations. Being a colony of the British, the Remembrance Day was formally celebrated on 11 November as Poppy Day in honor of the end of the First World War. Well, Nigeria, however, moved the day to January 15 to mark the end of the country's civil war, which, of course, I'm sure you're aware, that took about 30 months, yes. It is often said that the best way to honor the fallen heroes who served gallantly is to pay homage to those still alive, a way of reawakening consciousness on the well-being of the legions after their years of service, dedication, sacrifices. There is also the need to cater for the well-being of those they left behind. Now, the Ruth Lane, of course, is the peak of today's event. Will be led by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And it's also good to know that this is the first of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day that the President, talking about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will be participating. He will be going live to the National Arcade where the cenotaph for the Ruth Lane is situated at. We'll also be joining our correspondent very, very shortly. Thank you at this point for joining us. This is a special broadcast program for the Armed Forces Remembrance Day for 2024. I'm Ruth Aguwele. We have a guest joining us via Zoom. We're expecting one to join us in the studio. So for now, I'm alone. But let's welcome our guest joining us via Zoom. He's a general in the Nigerian Army, not tired, Brigadier General John Timlong. Thank you so much for joining us, Brigadier General.
It's always a pleasure. Good morning. Good morning, Nigerians.
All right, I'll engage you very shortly, but I'd like to, cross over to the National Arcade now. Our correspondent, if you've been following the Nigerian Television Authority, Naja'atu Tijani, earlier we saw her on Good Morning Nigeria. She was giving us updates. So for those just joining us on the program, let's refresh your memory. Let's give you highlights of what's happening at the moment. A situation report at the National Arcade. Naja'atu, well done. A good job you did earlier. Please feed us more. What is happening at the moment?
Ruth, and welcome back to the National Arcade, where the cenotaph of the unknown soldier stands proudly, looking across Abuja, reminding Nigerians of the sacrifice of the Nigerian military. And earlier on, if you're just joining us, you missed the general salute. And earlier on, I did tell you about the firing party already taking their position. I erroneously called them a funeral party, but they're actually called a firing party. And I'm going to be inviting guests to talk about what is happening right now. And shortly, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Defense, Dr. Kana, will be joining me to talk about what is going on and also what the ministry has been doing so far to ensure that proceedings are going smoothly. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Najatu. Well, we want to formally welcome everyone to this important occasion, an important occasion for the Ministry of Defense and the Armed Forces of Nigeria in general, because this is the day that the government of Nigeria has chosen to remember all our fallen heroes, both in the armed forces and all the security agencies. Indeed, it's such an important day because this is the day that these people have actually laid their lives for us to live. Truly, without the armed forces of Nigeria, no country can survive. And they have done very well for Nigeria, not just in the civil wars, but all our activities so far. The security challenges we're having in the northwest, in the southeast, northeast, southeast, everywhere in Nigeria. People, security agencies die on a daily basis. They do that for us to survive. They work day and night for us to sleep. We sleep with our two eyes closed because they are working day and night. This again is a day for us to actually remember them and wish that may their souls rest in perfect peace.
So what are some of the challenges currently being faced, and what is the Ministry of Defense doing to surmount those challenges?
Well, certainly, in everything in life there are always challenges, and therefore it is for us to always make plans, to ameliorate those challenges. The good thing is that the good news is that the President and Commander-in-Chief has given an open check for us to continue to recruit members into the armed forces. That's number one, very, very important. Number two, His Excellency Mr. President has consistently provided funds for the armed forces to be able to equip, to get fully equipped, in order to fight this insurgency across the country. I think that is very, very important. But there's something very important I must say, the issue of training and retraining. Government has continued to pay, for training and retraining all of the armed forces of Nigeria, which is extremely, extremely, extremely important, so that they can actually live above board and live like any other armed forces around the world. But of course, challenges is that of lack of support from the communities. We need intelligence, which intelligence actually comes from the community. We call on community members, like the Minister of Information will say, when you see something, you say something, give us information, and the armed forces will live up to expectation.
Now, you're a medical doctor, and the ministry has been advocating to ensure that the soldiers, their mental health is being taken care of. So would you care to tell us a bit more about that?
Well, I'm excited to talk about this. It's not just about mental health. One, we provide the best medical services for armed forces. Two, we have set up a center in Kaduna for armed forces reference for prosthesis, both upper limbs and lower limbs. More or less, if any soldier loses his limbs, he can be rest assured that he will get the best limb, and fully rehabilitated into the society. Thirdly, is the insurance for all the armed forces personnel, that government has continued to pay for. I mean, their life insurance, which is very important. Anytime any soldier dies, government pays immediately for all for his family members to be able to begin to live a normal life, after the death of the soldier or the officer, as case may be. So basically, government is taking the issue of medical services for the personnel very, very important. And I must say that the government of Nigeria has also promised all armed forces personnel of free healthcare services during service and even at the point of retirement and throughout their retirement until they die. I think this is a good thing, that for me is good for the armed forces. They deserve it, and they deserve even more.
Thank you very much, sir. I've been speaking with Dr. Kana, the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Defense, telling us just some of the sacrifices that our military go through for us every day, and what, of course, the ministry is doing to ensure that they lead comfortable lives so that they are fit and able to defend Nigeria. And earlier on, before I hand back to you finally, Ruth, I want to just talk about one major point that the Permanent Secretary made, which is that the military does so much for the country, and so what can Nigerians do for the military? And the ministry is calling for Nigerians to cooperate, for communities to cooperate, for host communities to provide intelligence so that the work will be easier. And before I finally hand back to you, Ruth, one more thing. I want to quickly tell you about the firing party. You will see the firing party, and there are two gentlemen, two officers with a wreath in their center. Now, they are the presidential wreath bearers, and once the president arrives, there will be a slow march to the cenotaph, and they will hand the wreath to the president, who will first of all lay the wreath before others do the same. The firing party is expected to also fire volleys into the air, and I will explain more about that when we get to that time.
All right, thank you so much, Najat. I also look forward to that. Traditionally, when you follow events like this, talking about the Armed Forces Day, you see there's a usual ritual then, of course, and it's good. Beyond all of that, Najatu, of course, I'm sure these veterans are concerned about their well-being, which is very, very important, and you raised a very important point. We'll definitely connect with you. I'm sure that event will start any moment when the president arrived at the venue. Thank you, Najatu. All right, our correspondent there just giving us highlight of what's happening at the moment at the National Arcade. But we'd like to engage our guest, Brigadier General John Timlong. Brigadier General, you heard what the doctor at the National Arcade was, pointing out some of the issues. Now, when a day like this comes, beyond all the razzmatazz and the whole talks, there's always this concern, which we've been hearing over time for years. From your perspective, there've been concerns that their welfare, it's not really well fed, so to say. But from your perspective, please tell us, this is a very significant day for our veterans, so please tell us.
Well, thank you very much. This is a day that we solemnly remember those, for us, our colleagues, whom we joined the armed forces with, our seniors, and then the men whom we commanded, the officers and men whom we commanded, and they paid the ultimate price during operations. It's so solemn for us in that you remember the good times that you had with them, but sometimes there are men that you just gave orders to and we started moving, and the next thing, casualty comes in and the rest. So it's quite traumatic too sometimes for us when we sit down and remember this solemn day. It's more traumatic for us when we see the families and the families of these people who paid the ultimate price suffering, and then the veterans, the men, the officers and men that we commanded are not doing well after retirement, because the military job is so sapping both mentally and physically that you have men who, I'm glad Najatu asked about mental health, who are suffering from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and it wasn't taken care of or be paid attention to earlier on in those days until now. And a lot of people died in the society because we were looking at them as if they were mad, that the military profession and the rest. Some took to taking alcohol and drugs, substances, and so they were being laughed at in the society. And unfortunately, they didn't live long. And
Brigadier General, I can't hear you. We seem to have lost you. I'm sure we're going to fix that shortly. If you can hear me, please just go ahead. Okay, we seem to have lost our guest there via Zoom, Brigadier General John Timlong. We'll definitely connect with him because he was going to raise some really salient points. Now, there's been issues that have been raised talking about the widows, the orphans, the left behind, even widowers. We don't talk about that. But this is beyond the whole talk, beyond the whole concerns. We should begin to look at solutions, both from the federal government and also private individuals. And we as individuals, we should continue to do our own role by cooperating with our armed forces. Okay, I'm told that Brigadier General John Timlong is back online. Brigadier General, please just pick up with the conversation you were telling us.
Yeah, so I mean that for these sort of days, we want the whole nation to be a nation that is showing gratitude to those fallen heroes, a nation that is showing gratitude to those who have left their homes and families and are out there in the field defending them, making them to sleep. And so there should be a nation behind the armed forces today, and not just today, but always. But we don't see that. It is just the government people are apparatic that are just behind the government now. So there should be something that, look, what are the citizens doing? There should be the citizens' involvement in this Armed Forces Day. The citizens behind the armed forces. And it shows too that the corporate bodies. Remember, during the Civil War, some of the major corporate organizations in Nigeria, like Nigerian breweries, Guinness, and the rest, were producing their products specially stamped for the armed forces, and they were providing them to the armed forces free of charge as part of their responsibility or to keeping the war endeavor going on. Some state governments were sending foodstuff, cows, and the rest to the armed forces in the front for them to feed with. That was a nation behind the armed forces. Today, we have been fighting Boko Haram for how many years? Bandits for how many years? It's always accusation here and there. So it needs that the Nigerians, the government and the Nigerians should fully come behind the armed forces and support them and show them that there is a national will behind their endeavors. This is what will galvanize them to look that we have an appreciative nation behind us that is working for us. So it will be something that, look, even if I die for this country will take care of my family till they die. It's not that when I die for this country or when I'm injured for this country, wounded for this country, I come back and I start suffer in my old age period and the rest. So there is more to it than just the parade at the Senate of. It should involve a whole national endeavor, and that's what we need to galvanize the nation. I think we need to do that to show that there is a nation behind the armed forces and behind those who have fought for us and fallen.
Salient point earlier when you talked about the support these veterans were supposed or used to have rather from the private sector and also individuals' contribution. I would like to know what happened to all that initiative, because that's a plus, if you ask me, beyond putting the burden on the federal government, which they also have their crucial role to play. Let's not leave that out. What do you think went wrong over the years? Beyond the sale of emblem that we get to see begins from October to January, which ends today with wear this poppy again. What happened, really? If these veterans have to always rely on the fundraising for a period of this short period of time?
Well, I think if you ask me, I would say, first of all, there is a breakdown of the social order in the country as a whole. Two, governance have not been actually citizen-centered, where citizens are involved in governance. Even for you should know that immediately after politicking, when you see politicians moving and whining and dining with the voters during the campaigns, after that one, they are all in their tinted glasses, having security details here, driving people off the road for them and the rest. And citizens no more get involved in governance. So that disconnect in itself creates a problem between the governed and the government. So you see that there needs to be a citizen-centered governance, where the citizens are involved in governance beyond the politicking period. And that way, national programs like this are easily carried out as a citizen, the whole of Nigerian endeavor, not just a government endeavor. You are calling really out the names of senators, members of the House of Reps and the rest. Ask me, or even now, how many of those in the local governments, are there anything done? That's where most of the veterans are, most of the widows are, most of the orphans are in the local government areas. Is there anything being done at the local government areas to show, look, we are showing a gratitude to people who have served us? No local government. In fact, some of the chairmen are out there following the governors to go and lay rape at the Senate of here. So you see, for it to go, it has to cascade down from the national to the states and to the local governments. And not just cascading, that citizens themselves should come out and line up the streets and the rest, showing gratitude, waving the national flag, waving the armed forces flag, and say we are grateful to people who have laid their lives for us to live and move about freely. And so I think it has to be that. And then there has to be a conscious effort too. even in our school syllabus, you see the civic education that was being taught that we inherited from the colonial period got watered down. And it also, you see, these things have to be encapsulated in the civic education that we do. In fact, when we were growing up, we were told that it was an offense for the crown that a policeman was wearing on his head to touch the ground. That was a native authority policeman. And so if you see any citizen or any criminal trying to put down a policeman, the first thing we did was to rush to assist that police and stop the crown from touching the ground, and then help in arresting that criminal for that lone policeman. That was what it was. It was taught to us in school, and we went about accepting and knowing what it's supposed to be. And so
Brigadier General, I'd like to come in there. I know you're speaking on very important issues, but we just want to get a beat of the ambience there at the National Arcade, just to get a feel of what's going on at the moment. Please, can we have an ambience? All right, that's the National Arcade there. The parade is set, just waiting for the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I did tell you earlier that this will be his first sitting president, so I'm sure the veterans are excited and they're expectant, actually. So, Brigadier General Tim Long, let me get back to you. You were talking about the passion that needs to be exuded. Even from the curriculum, you talked about the contributions of individuals and all of that. Me personally, I love the army. People who are close to me know that I love the army, not because of, their uniform, but just picturing the kind of courage someone will have to defend the territorial integrity says a lot. And after that years of service, there's nothing to show for it. It can be really daunting and sad. But let's look at the leadership of the Legion. They said if you want to nip a problem in the board, you should start from the roots, right? Let's look at the leadership of the Legions across the country. I know they have states, but you will tell us how it works. And I want to believe you are part of the Legion as a retired Brigadier General. I don't know how that works. You educate me on that also. What is the leadership like? Because if you want to start proffering solutions, you should have your acts put together, so you could have data in place and know and streamline the options and what is of priority.
Well, thank you very much. I think one of the things that we must commend the President Buhari, Jonathan and Buhari administration for is the set of reforms that they try to do to look at the situation of the veterans and the rest. Hitherto, like you're right, the Legion was actually being looked at as something, even from the name itself. Some of us say, look, that name is not being used anywhere except here in Nigeria. The French have a legion where the people are there to trade, to fight in Africa and the rest. So I think that to us, we said it should be, something should be done. And so there is a veteran federation bill that is before the National Assembly, which is supposed to look at the whole reorganization and make the Veteran Affairs Department very functional. Right now, there's a Major General who is heading the Veterans Affairs in the Ministry of Defense. So it's going to cascade when that bill passes on to reorganize the whole system to make sure that the Legion, the veterans, have
Brigadier General, just while you were speaking, we saw the arrival of the Minister of Defense there, just walked in, flagged by the FCT Minister and also the Minister of State for Defense there, just walked in. I'm sure you've seen that play out. Okay, so please go ahead. I'm sure more dignitaries will be arriving. So, Brigadier General, please go ahead, pick up. Sorry to cut in.
Okay, so thank you. So I think that will be done. And then the Buhari administration set up a committee to look at how to reorganize the Ministry of Defense and the armed forces. And part of the recommendations of that committee is that a whole department of veteran affairs should be established at the Ministry of Defense. Right now, the veteran affairs is under the Department of Joint Services at the Ministry of Defense, which is wrong. It's supposed to have a whole department by itself that caters for the welfare and all the problems and all the policies that come out about veteran affairs. So that recommendation was accepted by Mr. President. We were set up again. I was in that committee to see to the implementation, and we had an interaction with the head of service of the Federation, and she was quite agreeable to that department being established. Along the line, I don't know what happened until the administration won up. But the good thing is that we saw the family secretary spoke earlier on. Dr. Kana is a veteran affairs friendly permanent secretary, and he has been pressing on. I'm sure that those reforms will come to light, and once those things are done, some of these things will be addressed. Because if you look at what we look at is that in other countries, how do they do it? In Britain, in USA, and the rest, the presidential system we are practicing in Nigeria is the same with the American version. So, in fact, in USA, you have some of the best hospitals in the US are the veteran hospitals, the ones for the veterans. And so they have this best medical because what they come out from the war front or from operations are quite disturbing, and not just normal sicknesses, illnesses. So you need specialized services for them. And so you have veterans, this thing. And we buy things, veterans buy things tax-free. Even you could see even sometimes that when the Israeli soldiers were going to war, you saw that a nation came out, lined up the streets, and was throwing water, bread, and all whatnot for them to go out. And America too, you saw a situation where the Marines came into an aircraft and everybody stood in that aircraft and started clapping until they sat down. And when they were to depart, everybody sat down and they walked out. People were clapping, appreciating them. This makes you...
Okay, Brigadier General, I can't hear you again. Your audio, we've lost your audio. Can you fix that for us? But okay, good, great. Pick up, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I was
just round off that thought so we pick up.
Yeah, are you hearing me now?
I can hear you. Go ahead. Round off the thought so we can look at other issues.
What I was saying is that I gave an example that the veterans in the US have some of the best hospitals. That is their own. And then you could see a grateful nation that there was this audio video that was being viral, that when American soldiers came into an aircraft to boarding, everybody in the aircraft stood up and was clapping for them until they sat down. He was showing a grateful nation behind them. And when the aircraft landed and they were deboarding, everybody sat still until they boarded out first, and they were clapping for them. When the Israeli soldiers were driving out recently to go out for operations, you could see a grateful nation waving the Israeli flags, throwing water to them, foodstuff to them, and praying for them. That is a situation that you will not mind dying for your country. You will take a look. Here is a nation waiting and being grateful to me for doing what I'm doing. And so you just go in there and put in your best, giving your life for your country. So these are things that must be put in the front burner for us to get the best out of these soldiers that are there in the front now. For them to fight, they need the national will behind them. That is one of the key elements of national power. If the national will is not behind the military, that military will never perform optimally. I'll give you another example.
Okay.
The Americans.
Go ahead, Brigadier General.
I'll give you another example. The American armed forces were not defeated in Vietnam, but it was the American citizens that said, bring back our boys. And they had to withdraw them because there was no national will behind their endeavor. But once there's a national...
Okay, I can't seem to hear you again, Brigadier General.
He is a member of the 66th
Brigadier General Tim Long, can you hear me?
Yes, somebody is calling me, so I've put him off
okay.
on that.
I'm sure it's because they've seen you on TV.
I think so. They are trying to probably give me more points or commend me for what was said here.
Okay, please just quickly round up that thoughts. We have to move to other issues. You were giving me another example.
So you could see it was the American citizens who said no, the will was not behind. And so when you are looking at national elements of power, national will is a very serious aspect that you consider. And for me, I have said it over and over here on NTA, that what is happening in Nigeria is that it's business as usual.
Okay, we've lost Brigadier General again. I'm sure we'll fix that. But actually, we have another guest just joined us here in the studio, Brigadier General Sani Usman Kuka Sheka, retired. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you so much.
Yeah. How do you feel? Today is
I feel very happy and grateful and very proud also.
Great.
Yeah.
And you should be proud because when you look at what our armed forces are doing, fighting gallantly, continue to make that sacrifice, it's something to be proud of. Even as we, as we civilians, they were not in the military, we should be proud of the courage, the tenacity these armed forces put daily to risk their lives. But from your opening remarks, today is a day to talk about welfare, the widows, the orphans, the left behind, and all of that. For you, what should we be looking at today?
Well, quite a lot of things. And first and foremost, we just have to be very grateful to God, for sparing our lives to be part of this historic occasion, because some of our colleagues were not so lucky, to have been alive to witness this celebration, so to speak. And some of them have paid the supreme price, and that's what we're talking about, leaving behind loved ones and without anybody catering for them, so to speak. So, and that is the starting point. So much is being done, really, but so much needs to be done
When you say so much is being done, can you break it down? Because there are different opinions of not enough. You're saying there's so much, so please break it down.
Yeah, if you look at it, there are so many welfare packages, for the families of the deceased colleagues. But then in most instances, it is at the service level. Take, for instance, the military, particularly the army, they have welfare insurance scheme and all the rest of them, and of course entitlements. But I think it is about time that we should go beyond that. Think of an endowment fund that will cater for the families of these deceased colleagues in terms of the education, Medicare, and even insurance, and so on and so forth. Individual efforts are being made, but I think it is about time to harmonize it. Let it be at federal level, beyond the services level, so that the burden should be off the military, so that they can face other things, and also there are competing resources. So invariably, what I'm saying about a lot being done, in fact, you see cosmates pooling resources together, catering for their deceased colleagues, family, and so on. And of course, the services are doing that, individual efforts. We have seen instances where the First Lady also, and so many other people. But beyond that, just like General Temlong was saying, it takes, let it be a national thing, beyond the individual effort. Let the nation elevate the gratitude to something that will make you so happy and proud. Take for instance, it might not necessarily be the families, the soldiers themselves, even the families. I can remember vividly one of the late generals' family was given a posthumous doctorate degree at the Nigerian Defense Academy. The then president stood up. He said, "Look, your father did not leave material thing, but he left one thing: good name." And I felt so happy. And at that time, there are about 3 other presidents. You can imagine if your father was that general that was mentioned, you feel on top of the world. And we're beyond that, just like General Talon has said, and we have had individual experiences being in the armed forces. You go to a foreign countries, normal check-ins at the custom and what have you and security. By the time they know that you are a military officer elsewhere, the respect, the courtesy is different. But here we have a situation whereby a lot of people tend to denigrate. So you wouldn't like your father to be associated with that kind of profession. So, and that is what I'm talking about. And so it is not just material thing also, but other things like this respect that I'm talking about. And we have, corporate organizations, part of their corporate social responsibilities, they should see what they can contribute. And when this endowment fund is established, and I think we can, just like we have other things that's, getting certain percentage from the revenue to cater for this, widows and orphans.
You're talking about budget provision now. Which we don't see happen for these veterans.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. Beyond budgetary provision, let there be an endowment fund so that it can ease the burden of going through the bureaucracy of budgeting and all other things that the services tend to scavenge here and there to take care of the families of this one. I know for the Nigerian Army and other services too, anybody whose parents or who pay the supreme price, at least 4 of the person's children are taken care of from primary school up to secondary school up to university level, at least 4. What if you have more than 4? And in most instances, people die at a tender age or younger age, leaving behind parents, spouses and children and all their dependents. And in most instances, they are even the breadwinners of the family. So how do you take care of that? And then again, beyond the endowment fund, what are those other facilities, in terms of scholarship, education and medical care and what have you? Invariably, in most instances, when your loved ones paid the sovereign price, you are more or less left alone. The support then doesn't seem to continue. It's a certain period of time. But with that kind of established institutional framework, we can have support up to a certain point in time, beyond what we have now.
Indeed, Brigadier General, you've raised a lot of concerns which I'm sure are on the lips of other persons who see the need to look at the welfare of the armed forces. But also very important is the issue of their, we will not, put this under the carpet, their widows. People have their spotlight on them because they feel they are the dependents, who are suffering, or the orphans, or even widowers, which we don't get to mention. What kind of support really? I know from what you're telling us, the armed forces is overstretched when it comes to its own contribution. You used to be the spokesperson for the army, and I'm sure you understand how it works there. So you're speaking from the army's perspective. But looking at other areas of concern, we've seen the First Lady from her Renewed Hope initiative, contribute her own quota, which is not a one-off thing, we're hoping. This is a new administration, really. What more do you think should be done for these people that everyone just keep talking about? They're suffering, because it's one thing to have these funds made available, it's another thing to ensure that these funds get to the desired targets.
Yeah, I think efforts are ongoing in that regard, in the sense that there is kind of harmonization of efforts between the various veteran associations and of course the Nigerian Legion and the Ministry of Defense, as well as the Defense Headquarters and Services Headquarters, they are trying to work out modalities to ensure that the welfare and the well-being of not just even the widows, but other veterans are being taken care of. But also, beyond that, the services to address the other issues that you've been talking about, they have been doing their kind of institutional mechanisms, you know, death benefits, entitlements, and what have you. But given the realities of these days, it seems not to be enough. Take for instance, you know, school fees that was supposed to be maybe 100,000 before. Now, within a spate of 6 months, it is now 200,000 to 300,000. Where will you get it when you don't have a husband? Or in most cases, just like you said, in instances, sometimes it is even the spouse that died, you know, either the male or the female, because we have instances where there were females also in the military. And of course, if they die, what will be left to the husband? You know, taking care of the children. Or it is the other way around. If the husband dies, what will be left to the wife? You know, to take care of the children and what have you. So these are the issues. But thankfully, a lot is being done now, harmonizing it. And I think...
Brigadier General, sorry, just very quickly, we're seeing from the National Arcade there that the Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria just arrived alongside the Speaker of the House of Representatives there. You can see them just making their entrance there at the National Arcade. So any moment from now, I'm sure the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will definitely be there. So we'll keep you updated as events unfold and as these arrivals happen. So Brigadier General, please go ahead.
So what I'm saying is that I think the widows take...
Sorry, Brigadier General. Let's get a feel, actually, of the ambience. Let's get a feel of that. Great. All right, just the entrance there and arrival of the Senate President and Speaker, House of Representatives. Like I told you, just waiting the arrival of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So the ceremony can kick off officially. Brigadier General, back to you again, so please speak up. You were going to say something.
Yeah, I'm talking about the burden of, you know, the spouses that are left behind and the need to ease it by, you know, beyond the rudimentary efforts with institutional mechanism. And the institutional mechanism, I'm just thinking beyond the effort of the services, we should have a kind of endowment fund that should be administered through the Ministry of Defense. You know, that the federal government should harmonize the efforts. And even at state level, they do assist units located in their various domain. But I think there is time, it is about time to harmonize all those things, to have an endowment fund with a proper management mechanism and appropriation, so that whoever that paid the supreme price will have the benefit of his family being taken care of in terms of healthcare, in terms of education, and so forth. And beyond that also, we should think of job opportunities, you know, giving priorities. I know that they tend to assist as much as possible, but it should not be one of. There are so many other things that need to be done. But most importantly, beyond appreciation through that means, there should be a sustained effort, you know, of taking care of, you know, the families of our fallen heroes.
Indeed, and also engaging these veterans is very important, more like utilizing their expertise and experiences. Of course, you know, training and retraining for military can be capital intensive and time consuming. So how about areas of engaging them so they don't really rely on fundraising and support, but they're also getting something and still putting, they say you're retired, but you're not tired, right? So, you know, engaging them and ensuring that the security architecture of the country is well streamlined, going by their own contribution.
Yeah, I think it's similar to what I've just said in respect of, the welfare of deceased families and all the rest. So there is also a need to harness, the available resources, and more so, I think the harmonized terms and condition of service make provision for, going into reserve when you have retired from the military or discharged, as the case may be. But that seems not to be taken very seriously, and I think it is important that we should think along that line. But in most instances, they tend to think of it during real complex situation. By complex to a real complex situation, I'm talking about state of a declared emergency or war, as the case may be. But I can rest assure you, a lot of these veterans are being engaged by their respective state government and even the federal government and even the services. Take, for instance, I know for sure, the services are engaging the services of the veterans in terms of training the younger ones or upcoming ones in the various training schools, and some even engage as consultants. Take, for instance, my humble self, I'm a consultant in the Nigerian Army Resource Center dealing with issues of corporate affairs and information services. But I'm not alone. There are other senior research fellows. They are experts. And the thing is that you cannot do away with this wealth of experience and knowledge, because hardly anybody will reach the rank of a lieutenant colonel or equivalent in the military without a master's degree these days. So you cannot dispense with that, unlike in the past. So it's something that the country and the people need to take advantage of it, to also engage them for into meaningful venture. But individually, people have even found better vocations. Some of them, they have entrepreneurial skills. They are now big-time farmers, and of course, they are even into manufacturing and other agro-allied industries. And this has to be encouraged and supported by the government, and of course, other institutions, companies, in terms of security, is very important. More so that we are facing these security challenges, I think there is need to engage the services of this retired personnel in dealing with these security issues. And there is hardly any village or any locality where you don't have a retired soldier. So why don't you take advantage of him or her, as the case may be, especially in terms of dealing with the security challenges, intelligence and information gathering, and at least you have a harmonized structure. And the Nigerian Legion is permeated downward, just like we have other security establishment, talking about the police and the Nigerian security and civil defense.
There should be this interagency.
Exactly, they should harmonize and take and integrate them into the security architecture. It shouldn't be just one of that. And of course, they should encourage them to participate in the security architecture of the particular community, because a retired person, military or security personnel, has the nuances and knows the society better and has the knowledge. So if you harmonize and integrate it, and I think we will be better off.
Indeed, and Brigadier General, when it comes to the issue of fighting insecurity, that's always a burden for any government, and this administration has demonstrated, or rather is demonstrating its commitment. Part of it, the 8-point agenda for the renewed hope of this present administration is fighting insecurity, and you can't take away the place of intelligence gathering and cooperation from people who have the expertise. If the burden must be eased, then it's a collective effort, so to say. What about community engagement? Now, from the individual's perspective, talking about intelligence gathering, I know from the government perspective, there are concerns rather about providing the right security tools, state-of-the-art facilities to engage, these non-state actors headlong. But the individuals also have a role to play. What kind of support can they give, to our armed forces?
The security is a collective responsibility, and for the simple fact that insecurity affects each and everyone. So therefore everybody has a role to play. But however, this role has to be streamlined and harmonized. But most importantly, again, you have to enlighten the people to understand what kind of role are they going to play. Then, of course, giving the security agencies the facilities to be attuned to their responsibilities. Take, for instance, we are talking about being proactive in terms of information and intelligence. If you provide the information, if you provide the intelligence, it will be it will rather be useless if the person doesn't have the capacity to, react to it. So it's a kind of something that is all-encompassing, enlightening the citizen to understand that they have a role to play, even empowering them with the knowledge of the expectation of the security agencies or the government on the citizens to ensure that there is security. But beyond that, again, to empower the security agencies with tools, with facilities, the necessary training to react with this, when the information is provided. So everybody has a role to play, regardless whoever he is, regardless of gender, age, and other demographics.
All right, Brigadier General Kukasheka, I'll definitely get back to you, but I did not forget Brigadier General Tim Long. Earlier we lost your audio, so we didn't forget you in the conversation. So please, Brigadier General, I'm sure from the feed we're getting at the National Arcade, everyone is on standby, just waiting for the arrival of the President. Brigadier General Kukasheka has said a lot. I'm sure you're following Brigadier General Tim Long. What's your recommendations as regard having a coordinated approach to reaching out to these veterans, those alive and those they've left behind and all of that?
Well, thank you very much. If you had actually listened to me, what General Kukasheka is saying is, you see, to avoid this compartmentalized dealing with situations, that is why the Reforms Committee recommended the establishment of a
educational pursuit.
Vocational pursuit. Brigadier General, we've lost your audio again and your signal actually. I'm sure I don't know, we're trying to get that fixed. Can you hear me? Okay. We lost him there. Brigadier General Kukasheka, he was just going to respond. Yeah. He's your friend, I saw you smiling.
No, I am quite aware about what he was saying. Okay. And we are talking about the same thing, and part of the recommendation is that there was a reform, there was a committee, and I think it was Hiriam Umaru that headed the committee, and it was reviewed by a former chief of army staff, Awole Kazra. I am not too sure whether it is that one that he's talking about, streamlining things and avoiding compartmentalization of issues, so that we will have a smooth and harmonized, institutional mechanism that integrate all the facets of these societies.
Which happens in other climes.
Exactly. So that we'll have a better, and it will enhance collaboration, coordination, and giving even greater sense of belonging, because everybody knows what to do at what given time, and you bring in your resources and expertise, I bring in mine, so that will be better. There is also what do you call it in number? Is it joy or strength in number or so? So basically that is what he is talking about, and that to a large extent will not only ensure efficiency and security, it will also enhance the welfare of the veterans and the deceased families, as the case may be.
And we will continue to talk about this issue continuously if we don't look at the issue of peace and unity in the country, which is very sacrosanct. Okay, I've just been informed that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is just arriving. Okay, we can see his entourage just coming into the National Arcade there. So let's get a bit of an ambience. So we'll just head right away to the National Arcade for the ceremony to kick off officially.
Thank you. Very shortly, Your Excellencies, the mounted troops provided by the Nigerian police will be seeing the limousine conveying the special guests of honor to the arena. And this will be taken over by the bagpipers provided by the Guards Brigade. Please, once again, when we announce the arrival of His Excellency Mr. President, we are pleased to rise wherever we are sitting. Officers, warrant officers in uniform should please salute when the national anthem is rendered, please. We must give credit to the Nigerian Armed Forces, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and other agencies on ground, on air, and in the seas. Please, we are pleading, we are praying, we are trusting. Now, today, as always, the review officer will be ushered to the Remembrance Arcade by the Guards Brigade bagpipers, as well as the Nigerian Police Mounted Troops. The Mounted Troops branch of the Nigerian Police was established in July 1961 as an integral unit of the police force and placed under the Department of Operations and charged with the following functions: suppression of rioters, patrol along the borders with other security forces, presidential mounted, dismounted guards, amongst others. These guards are commanded by Assistant Superintendent of Police Emmanuel Gimba. Now, here in Nigeria, we also have the Guards Brigade bagpipers. We'll be ushering in the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. Now, the employment of bagpipers dates back to 1907 in Scotland, played to honor Her Royal Majesty, the Queen of England. Here in Nigeria, it was introduced by Major General H.M. Zarma, then the Commandant, Nigerian Defense Academy, in 2007. We have the Guards Brigade bagpipers, which was introduced to Guards Brigade by the then Commander Guards Brigade, Major General B.M. Mongono, in 2009. Is that it? Please, once again, we want to urge all dignitaries to please rise on their feet as we speak, please. The special guest of honor is approaching the arena, please. Can we rise, please? In absolute deference to his most exalted offices and his very distinguished persona, please. Thank you very much. We appreciate. And when the band on parade announces, place the national salute, we are please expected to keep standing while officers and the warrant officers should please salute. Thank you. And it says announcing the arrival of the very special guest of honor, reveal us our President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, just received there by the Commander Guards Brigade. Special guest of honor now proceeds to exchange presidential pleasantries with the dignitaries of parade. the Senate President, the Right Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives, His Lordship the Chief Justice, the Honorable Minister of Defense, Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Honorable Minister of State for Defense, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of the Naval Staff, the Chief of Air Staff, and the Inspector General of Police. Proceeds to the saluting days for the national salute.
This guy should go small. This
Please take your seats. Thank you. The national salute that heralded the arrival of the very special guest of honor, President Commander-in-Chief, over. The parade commander, Major Emmanuel Michael Fayon, now marches towards the saluting days to give the essence of today's ceremony and the state of officers and guards on parade to Mr. President and to diligently request him to inspect the officers and guards on parade. Shortly we hear that.
Pride formed up 25 officers, 100 members of the armed forces and the Legion of Praise ready for inspection, Your Excellency.
Diligently delivered there by the parade commander, Major Emmanuel Michael Fashion. The special guest of honor, President Commander-in-Chief, will be accompanied on this inspection by the Commander Guards Brigade, Brigadier General A.O. Nosonya. Happy viewing, Your Excellencies. We must say it is the climax of ceremonies, series of ceremonies lined up to very remarkably honor the fallen heroes and celebrate the living heroes. Once again, we have 6 guards on parade, 3 provided by the Nigerian Army, 1 each by the Nigerian Navy, the Nigerian Air Force, and the great legionnaires, Nigerian Legion, those who answered the clarion call when the services were needed. It took part in the First and Second World Wars, the continental campaigns, preaching for peace and harmonious coexistence, the sub-regional campaigns, the 30-month civil strife that engulfed our great nation Nigeria between July 1967 and January 1970, and at the cessation of hostilities, the declaration of armistice, there was no victor, no vanquished. Today, the fallen heroes are being remembered. The living heroes are also being celebrated and honored. We must say that the peace that we are enjoying today in the Federal Capital Territory is by the special grace of God and of course the officers and men of the Nigerian Armed Forces, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force and other security agencies. Once again, we have 4 colors on parade. The national color of our great nation Nigeria, the regimental colors of the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Navy and the Nigerian Air Force respectively. The mass band on parade, where the rhythmic tunes being emitted, being provided by officers and men from the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Navy and the Nigerian Air Force respectively. We must use this opportunity, very unique opportunity, to thank the armed forces and the paramilitary agencies for the security of our great nation, the security of the Federal Capital Territory and other zones. There are insurgencies, there are kidnappings, there are killings, but those challenges have been met by very, very agile and able officers and men of the Nigerian Armed Forces and the various paramilitary agencies. The number 6 guard that the special guest of honor is approaching this moment, Your Excellency, is the guard of the Nigerian Legion. The officers and men who answered the clarion call when the services were needed. They gave their life, they gave their time, precious time, to ensure peace and harmonious coexistence in our great nation Nigeria. Today, while we are honoring the fallen heroes, we are fully celebrating the living heroes. Victory is from God alone. Inspection over by the very special guest of honor, Reviewing Officer President Commander-in-Chief of Nigeria, His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. Next will be the movement to the second major segment of this unique occasion. That will be the movement to the arcade proper preparatory to the commencement of activities towards the laying of bricks. At this juncture, Your Excellencies, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, the microphone swings over to my co-announcer, the announcer's box, Captain Godfrey and Nevi Adakwa. Captain Adakwa, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much once more, Major Paul Abba, retired, for the commentary so far. Your Excellencies, most distinguished invited guests, very senior officers, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an event unfolding here at the National Cenotaph where the 2024 Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day is taking place. We have witnessed the arrivals of several dignitaries that have come all the way to grace this very important occasion in the history of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Climaxing the arrival was the arrival of His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. At the moment, what you are witnessing is the special guest of honor being led by the Commander Gas Brigade to join other dignitaries that will be laying this morning. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please happy viewing.
proudly, standing gallantly, watching over the National Arcade, reminding Nigerians of the sacrifice of the heroes past and present. And so I'll be bringing you more of the action as it unfolds. The mic is tangled. I'm still waiting for them to.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, at the moment what you are witnessing is the firing party commander, Sergeant Sonny Javan, marching the firing party to the cenotaph, and of course, it's being accompanied by the dignitaries that will lay it this morning. At the end of that proceeding, we shall also witness the last post. And the last post is a biblical call used in military funerals and ceremonies to commemorate those killed in war. The custom dates back to the 17th century. Therefore, the last post that will be sounded is in honor of our fallen heroes who paid the supreme price for our dear country, Nigeria. We shall be witnessing that shortly.
And so the firing party has approached the base where the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, any moment from now will be laying the wreath. And just a quick rundown of the significance of this act. It is an age-old military tradition. Not only does it commemorate the fallen heroes, those who gave their lives to ensure the unity of Nigeria, it also celebrates those who are living, those who have served and have retired. And any moment from now, once the President lays the wreath, the firing party will be firing a volley, signifying that
when the last post is sounded, 7 officers and warrant officers in uniform are to salute. Thank you. Please shall we all rise for the last post in honor of our fallen heroes. Thank you. Dignitaries, you may please take your seats. Thank you. Next on our program is special prayers for the living and fallen heroes who fought gallantly for the global peace and national integration. May I, at this juncture, most respectfully invite the Director Chaplain Services, Roman Catholic, Air Commodore P.B. Kwaswa, to kickstart the prayers. The Director, sir.
Will rise again. It also commemorates their sacrifice, and it is a wake-up.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father and God of the universe, We, the people of Nigeria, are gathered on this memorial ground together with our political leaders to pray for the unity, the peace, and the development of our country, Nigeria. We are also praying to commemorate the good deeds and selfless sacrifices of our fallen heroes who paid the supreme price with their lives for the defense and unity of our dear country, Nigeria. God of infinite goodness, hear our prayers for our political leaders, whom you have appointed to lead and guide us to the glory of nationhood, where peace, development, unity, and progress are achieved. Be their light so that through their right conduct, Nigeria may once again regain her pride of place in the Committee of Nations. Receive the souls of our fallen heroes who paid the supreme price with their lives within and outside Nigeria in pursuit of unity and peace in the world. Give their souls eternal rest in heaven. Give consolation and solace to their families and provide for their needs. Give healing and strength to our veterans who are bearing with injuries they sustained in the course of service to motherland. Give victory, O God, to our troops in the various battlefields and areas of engagement as they seek to maintain peace and stability in Nigeria and other parts of the world. God of mercy, we beseech you to bless our country, Nigeria, with the gift of justice, love, and peace. We make this prayer through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Next is the Director of Islamic Affairs, Brigadier General Usman Musa.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Ya Allah, we pray and solicit for the repose of the souls of our fallen heroes who have sacrificed their lives for the peace and unity of our great nation. Ya Allah, forgive them their shortcomings. Protect them from the torture of the grave and that of the hellfire. As for the family left behind, Ya Allah, we commit them into your care. Protect them with your protection. Guide them with your guidance. Bestow upon them your blessings and provide for them from sources they never expect. For our colleagues who sustain various degrees of injuries while on action or in action, Ya Allah, we pray that you grant them quick recovery. For our troops in various theaters of operations, Ya Allah, we pray for continuous victory over the enemies. Allah, continue to raise the Nigerian armed forces to the top echelon of professionalism, discipline, and integrity. Continue to shower your blessings unto our country, Nigeria. Give us everlasting peace, political stability, and economic prosperity. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع الدعاء وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله يا رب العالمين.
Amen. Next to offer prayers for the living and fallen heroes is the Director, Naval Chaplain Services Protestant, Navy Captain, Reverend B.N.E. Ajayi.
In Jesus' name, Almighty and everlasting God, we thank you for another moment of Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day to honor our fallen heroes. May you continue to grant them eternal rest and grant their family that are left behind the fortitude to bear the irreparable loss. Grant, O Lord, that the men and women who serve in our armed forces may devote themselves to the common cause, make them selfless in service, resolute in courage, strengthened in injury, magnanimous in victory, and do not allow them to suffer the shame of defeat, but protect them always. All this we ask in the name of Jesus.
Amen. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the prayers for the living and fallen heroes who fought gallantly for global peace and national integration. Shortly, we shall observe a minute's silence in honor of our fallen heroes. But before then, a quick announcement that as part of activities for today's occasion would be a gun salute. And this is to inform our distinguished guests not to panic at the sound of the guns. At this juncture, may I once more hand over the microphone to Navy Captain Reverend B.M. Ajayi to excite the 1 minute silence.
I request we all rise to observe the minute silence in honor of our fallen heroes. May the souls of our departed heroes rest in perfect peace.
Amen. Thank you very much. Next on our program is the wreath-laying ceremony. And the first to lay the wreath this morning is His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. At this juncture, may I respectfully and dutifully request the Commander Guards Brigade, Brigadier General A.O. Onasanya, to please invite the special guest of honor to lead dignitaries for the wreath-laying ceremony. The Commander, sir. Distinguished invited guests, very senior officers, ladies and gentlemen, the first known wreath-laying ceremony to honor unknown soldiers dates back to the Peloponnesian Wars in ancient Greece, where an empty stretcher was carried in tribute to the dead. The wreath-laying ceremony involves the placing of flowers dignitaries may please take your seat. Thank you. The wreath-laying ceremony involves the placing of flowers at the memorial site. In the military, this is done at the tomb of the unknown soldier, and this solemn ritual has continued to be observed globally till date. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please happy viewing.
Stepping out next to take their turn in the wreath-laying ceremony are the Excellencies, the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, the Speaker, House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, and the Chief Justice of Nigeria, His Lordship, Justice Olukade Ariwola, CFR.
Stepping up next to the reads the Honorary Minister of Defense, His Excellency Mohammed Badaru Abubakar, the Honorary Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, His Excellency Nelson Wike, the Honorary Minister of State Defense, His Excellency Dr. Bello Mohammed Matawale, and the Doyen of the Diplomatic Corps, His Excellency Ambassador Salahuddin Abbas Ibrahima, the Cameroonian Ambassador to Nigeria.
Stepping out next to lay their wreaths are the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, the Service Chiefs, Inspector General Police, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tari Lagbaja, the Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, and the Inspector General Police, IGP Kayode Betokun.
to Lady Ritis, the Chairman Nigerian Legion, Major General A.M. Jibril, retired, a representative of the widows, Mrs. Veronica Gift Aloku, wife of the late Admiral Eso Aloku. Mrs. Veronica Gift Aloku is also the president of the Military Widows Association.
Your Excellency, the special guest of honor, most distinguished invited guests, very senior officers, ladies and gentlemen. And that brings us to the end of this phase of the occasion, which is the wreath-laying ceremony. Next on our program is the firing of the volleys. And the firing of the volleys is a ceremonial act performed at military funerals. A quick reminder once again to our dignitaries not to panic at the sound of the guns. Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please may we all rise for the firing of the volleys while officers and warrant officers in uniform are to salute. Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, what we just witnessed was the firing of the volleys, and the firing of the volleys is a ceremonial act performed at military funerals. Next on our program is the reveille. The reveille signifies the last respect in honor of the fallen heroes. A quick reminder once again to our invited guests to please remain standing for the reveille. Serving officers and warrant officers in uniform are to please salute. Thank you.
When it comes, we will come. Just as it's coming.
Dignitaries, please take your seats. Thank you. Next on our program is the signing of the Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day Anniversary Register. May I, at this juncture, most respectfully request the Commander Gas Brigade to invite Mr. President to sign the Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day Anniversary Register, and thereafter release the pigeons. At this point, the microphone handover once more to my co-announcer in the commentary desk, Major Paul Abara, to continue with the rest of the proceedings.
Thank you very much, Captain Godfrey and Nebe Abakwa. Can see the Commander Guards Brigade, Brigadier General A.O. Onosoye, marching towards the position where the anniversary register is to be signed by the very special guest of honor, the Reviewing Officer, President Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Ashiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic. Please, security, ensure diligent movement there. Only the dignitaries that accompany Mr. President for the wreath-laying ceremony should be there, please. And of course, the press, the NTA, State House correspondents, and Guards Brigade press members to close to get the pictures to reduce congestion there, please. Can we put our hands together for Mr. President, please? Next is the release of birds of pigeon. Immaculate, birds of peace, they fly high to signal the fact that we are countries in mutual peace and coexistence. Living fine, there they go. Put your hands together, please. Put your hands together, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Next will be the movement towards the saluting days for the national anthem, the national salute. Please, once again, we want to implore our dignitaries to please rise when the national salute and national anthem is being rendered. Officers, warrant officers in uniform should please salute. Please decongest the scene for now, please. We'll wait and allow Mr. President to take his leave before we move, please. Security, please take control. Security, please take control. Thank you. Please, can we remain where we were, please? Please, the national salute, national anthem is being rendered any moment from now, please. Please, if you are still sitting, rise for the national anthem, please. Officers, warrant officers in uniform to please salute when it is rendered, please. Thank you.
Please take your seats. Thank you. The national salute over. Shortly, the parade commander, Major Emmanuel Michael
Fayo, march towards the salute today to seek the presidential permission, Mr. President, to march out the colors and the rest of the parade. Thus bringing us to the end of this occasion. You see that shortly. Where is the and the rest of the parade?
Surprises. Yes, sir.
The permission has been sought there and presidentially given by Mr. President, thus bringing us to the end of this very unique occasion of the celebration of the gone, the fallen heroes and the living heroes. Now, please allow His Excellency Mr. President to take his exit before other dignitaries spoke, please. We are pleading.
Yes,
we are pleading. Thank you. Your uncles will be Captain Godfrey and Nebi Abama.
Just give us a few seconds. We are trying to adjust.
Paul Esabara retired.
We are ready.
Formerly the Directorate of Family Public Relations. We wish one and all Johnny Messi. Please, now we want to thank one and all for honoring the invitation, please. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We'll try. Where are
those being directed to perform activities that is going to be a concert, heroes and legend concerts in honor of today's celebration, and the concert will hold at the Armed Forces Officers Mess and Shoots after Lungi Barracks at Soko, Abuja. Thank you very much.
Come, I don't. You see the walk.
Events and activities here at the National Arcade commemorating Armed Forces Remembrance Day 2024. It was first, the emblem appeal launch was flagged off by the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in October 2023, and everything has come to a head this January 15, 2024. And a lot of themes have been brought today, much like the national anthem just rounded everything up by saying one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. And the Nigerian military is a reminder that all this is possible and all this is happening. Recall that it has always been said that the Nigerian military is made up of Nigerians from every local government that one can think of. Every locality, every community is represented in the Nigerian military. So the Nigerian military is Nigeria, made up of Nigerians, for Nigerians, by Nigerians, and it's a rallying cry for all hands to be on deck to ensure that this unity is sustained, peace is sustained, and that every Nigerian plays its part. The national anthem says, "Arise, O compatriots," calling on every single Nigerians, not just the military, every single Nigerian to play his or her part in nation building. And before I round up, the theme of sacrifice has been apparent here with, of course, the organizers of this year's event calling for Nigerians to remember the widows of the fallen. They are in every community as well, every locality. So Nigerians are being encouraged to reach out to them, to cooperate with the military, and of course to remain diligent and disciplined in all walks of life, whether at work, whether at events, whether traveling. The Nigerian is expected to be disciplined and have integrity at all times. And so from here, the National Arcade, where we've just commemorated the 2024 Armed Forces Remembrance Day, I'm Naja'atu Tijani signing out at this time. It's back to you, studio. Thank you, Ruth, for joining us.
All right, thank you so much, Najatu, for that beautiful highlight. And we saw the ceremony, very colorful indeed, and, you know, heartbreaking when you think of the circumstances around it. And like you rightly put it, it is a time for us as a nation to reawaken our consciousness. We must strive for peace and unity as a people collectively. Our correspondent there at the National Arcade, where the ceremony for the 2024 Armed Forces Remembrance Day just rounded off. Brigadier General Kukasheka, you were watching the ceremony with so much keen interest, and you were reminiscing on your time when you get to be part of it. But you know, beyond all this glamour and the whole ritual that we get to see every year, this is a time for a new dispensation, and it's good that we're having a new government participating for the first time. You know, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, this is his first, you know, performance rather at the 2024 Armed Forces Remembrance Day. So share with us your thoughts.
Yeah, reminiscing for two things. First, being in the military, and of course I had the privilege of serving in Guards Brigade for 3 years, and just like we were saying, except for General Jibrin, the chairman of the Nigerian Legion, all the other people that laid rest, they were not there last year, and that is what life is all about, and that is the essence of having you know, a society that is thriving, you know, so that there will be transition, you know, smooth transition, you know, from one administration to another and all the rest. But by and large, the most important thing is that you cannot dispense with peace. And the whole essence of peace is what we've been talking about, and that is the essence of the armed forces to, you know, ensure, you know, territorial integrity, and of course aid the civil authority to ensure that Nigeria lives in peace. And of course they cannot all by themselves ensure peace in this country. It's a collective responsibility, which means each and every one of us has a role to play to ensure that Nigerians live in peace and harmony, and is well secured, so that people can aspire to be wherever they want to be, you know, legitimately.
Okay. And just to quickly notify our audience, because Brigadier General, you were asking where is the Vice President, Kashim Shettima. He's actually at Davos, Switzerland, attending the World Economic Forum happening there, and that's why his absence was noticed there at the National Arcade. Let's get to Brigadier General John Timlong. We missed you earlier, but I'm glad you're back, and I'm sure the signal is stronger and better now. Brigadier General, just like Brigadier General Kukasheka was sharing with us, you know, reminiscing on the whole activity that just played out. For you, what struck out?
Well, for me, what struck out is the solemnity of the occasion, and brings back to mind, to memory, the periods I served in operations where I commanded men, gallant officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Armed Forces, the Chadian and the Nigerian Armed Forces, and the losses that we did occur. And when I saw the president of the Widows Association in tears, tears to my eyes too, because I feel our pains, and I feel the pains of the widows who are out there suffering, and remembering their loved ones who have paid the supreme price for this country. It's important that the whole nation should be behind them, and that brings succor to them. And like I was saying earlier on, the moment I was in both committees that General Kukasheka mentioned, the Reforms Committee and the Implementation Committee, and we recommended the Department for Veteran Affairs, and that will bring budgetary allocation to the department, not what is happening now. And once that the budgetary allocation, they can take on programs like what is happening all over the place, all over the world, to carry on that. And if you read the Defense Policy 2017, I was too a member of that committee of that defense policy. It laid out, it's a citizen-centered defense policy. It lays out in detail the roles of the citizens in national defense and national security. We usually say security is everybody's business. Yes, it is. But if you do not build the capacity of the citizens to know what those roles are, it's just rhetoric that was been saying all over the place. So what do the citizens do? You see, the first law of survival is self-preservation. But in self-preservation, your parents start teaching you certain things when you are young. Your peers will teach you when you go out hunting that when you are being chased by a leopard, this is what you should do. Or when you see the footmarks of an animal that is strange, you should report and stop following that footmark because it's something strange in your area. Those are self-preservation tools. If you are bitten by a snake, you should raise the hand up, let somebody hold it for you, tie up the place so that blood will stop flowing. Or if you break your arm and the rest, sling it and the rest. Those are self-preservation things that we were taught both in schools and with peers. So we need to teach the citizens what they are supposed to do, what do they observe, and what do they report, and how are the reporting lines to get to that. I remember on one of the Good Morning Nigeria program, I raised this issue about an example I gave. That you see, we did that in Adamawa State when I was the brigade commander. And it helped because a woman who sells wares in the morning, say akara and cocoa, okay, somebody comes out to buy the whole of her wares and the man is not within that locality. She's happy that she has got sales for that day.
Yeah.
She's made money. In fact, she might sell it at the higher price because the man might not want to price it. Okay? What is he buying? There is no celebration in that locality. There is no gaya. They're not going to farm. Where are they taking those food to? Or they come and buy the whole of the bread that the Messiah sells. Okay? And it's a strange person. They're happy. He quickly goes because she quickly goes back to grind beans to make the kose for her regular customers who have not been able to buy that morning. So she has made double pay. But she is feeding terrorists, criminals in the bush, who will come and attack them later. So these are some of the security awareness that you need to bring to the ordinary man. You see, Nigeria, I said it and I'll say it again, I think this is the best occasion. We must take back our country from criminals. It's not the military that will take back our country for us. No. Nigerians must take back their country from criminals. What the military does in asymmetric warfare is just 20, 30, at most 40%. The remaining 70, 60% is the citizens. And we must take back our country from criminals. Once we fish out the criminals, we give information about the criminals. Once we arrest them, citizens arrest them ourselves. Honestly, this country is going to be secured. There is no magic wand that somebody said, in 7 days, that they believe that the military should have done this. No, it is Nigerians that will take back their country from criminals. And once we do that, nobody will come and terrorize us. Nobody will come and live in our environment, come there, eat our foodstuff, and decide to kill us as and when he wants, and drive us from our ancestral homes and take over. It will never happen. Nigerians must take back their country from criminals. And at the time is now. And right now, because we have a leadership and the armed forces that is ready to help and do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brigadier General. Very important issues you've raised, especially the aspect of self-preservation and collective efforts, you know, from individuals, talking about citizens' engagement. Peace, of course, the price for peace is so priceless. Of course, we can't put a tag to that. Thank you so much, Brigadier General John Timlong, who joined us via Zoom from our Just Network Center. Thank you so much for your contribution, and wish you the very best in your endeavors.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure being with you. I wish you a very happy new year. Thank you.
Same here. Thank you. All right, Kukasheka, Brigadier General Kukasheka, I don't know if you have a final thought. Just very briefly, seconds.
Actually, I would like to seize this opportunity to thank Nigerians for the support they have been given to the armed forces of Nigeria and of course the security agencies, and just like Oliver Twist, to continue to support and appreciate the armed forces of Nigeria and the security agencies.
All right. Thank you so much, Brigadier General Sani Usman Kukasheka, retired. Thank you for your contributions. We wish you the best. And we hope that beyond today, everything that has been discussed even here and beyond will be put into actualization.
We hope so. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here.
All right. Now, that has been the 2024 Armed Forces Remembrance Day, a special broadcast brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority. They continuously put down their lives, for the peace and protection of the territorial integrity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Let's do the needful by lending their support and continue to pray, for them, for our armed forces, and so that together we'll continue to stand as a united nation. I'm Ruth Aguwele. Have a beautiful day ahead.
This is the network.